But the king told no one of how the stag had saved his life. In the evening, after eating choice food, he went to sleep on his brocade couch. At daybreak, he woke up and, sitting cross-legged on his couch, chanted a hymn praising the virtues of the stag. He concluded that a wise man, though overcome by pain, can always hope for happiness. Wise men often feel both joy and sorrow, but they do not allow their emotions to overcome them. What a man wishes for does not always take place. What he does not want sometimes occurs. A man's happiness does not depend on his thoughts alone. He was chanting this kind of wise verse to remind himself, I guess. As the king was chanting this hymn, the sun rose. His priest had come early to inquire after the king's welfare, and as he stood outside the door, he heard the words of the hymn and thought to himself, yesterday the king went hunting. He must have aimed at the stag and missed. Doubtless the courtiers made fun of him, and the king must have decided to catch and kill the victim himself. He obviously chased the stag and on the way fell into a pit. Despite the king's determination to kill him, the noble Golden Stag rescued him. I think this is why the king is chanting such a hymn. Why are you laughing at? Thus, the priest heard every word of the hymn and what had happened to the king on the previous day, because the king was chanting out loud, like a confession about everything. I wonder why he does it. And became clear to him as a face reflected in a well-polished mirror. He knocked at the door. "Who is it?" called out the king. "Is it I, my lord, your priest?" "Come in," said the king, and opened the door. The king opened the door himself. I'm very humble indeed. The priest entered the king's chamber and said, "Great king, I know what happened to you in the forest yesterday. You chased a stag and you fell into a pit. Leaning on a rock, the stag pulled you out of the pit and thus saved your life." The king thought, how can this be? This man did not go hunting with me yesterday, and yet he knows exactly what took place. Is he a magician? So he asked the priest, "Priest, you were not with me yesterday." Oh, how boring. He asked how he knows, okay? All right, and then, are you having superhuman powers? Are you a magician? So the priest said, "No, I'm not a magician. Great king, I neither saw nor heard anything yesterday, but I was standing outside your door when you sang the hymn in praise of the noble stag, and that is how I knew what took place yesterday." The king was delighted with the priest's wisdom and gave him a rich reward. From then onwards, the king led a pious life and regularly gave alms to the poor in his kingdom. His subjects also followed the example of their king and devoted their lives to performing good deeds. When they died, they went straight to Master Ching Hai's abode. One day, Saka, the king of the gods, was sitting on his throne in heaven. And he began to wonder where all the new sons and daughters of the gods had come from. Come from the Supreme Master Ching Hai Meditation Association. Where else? So thinking over the matter, he remembered how King Brahmadatta had been rescued by a stag from a pit, and how he and his subjects had led virtuous lives thereafter. These subjects had gone to heaven and were the new sons and daughters of the gods. Sakka resolved to test the king's virtue, and making himself invisible, came down to earth. Wow, it's nice, huh? Just one noble stag, and then make the whole country became virtuous and noble. So actually, we don't have to be in a high position to rescue sentient beings or to make a good example for others to follow. Even as a deer, we can do that. This story just to show, as many other stories, that the Buddha in his previous lifetimes has always been noble and virtuous, and has always been doing many things benefit mankind and his own species. Therefore, after accumulating a lot of merit like this over the lifetimes, the Buddha has become what? Buddha. So stupid. What else can he become? Okay. So that morning, the king has gone to the park with his priest to practice shooting at a target. He held his bow and arrow ready when Sakka, by his supernatural powers, made the stag appear between the king and the target. At once the king lowered his bow. Then Sakka made the priest speak in this manner. He used his magical power to force the priest to speak. The priest speak to the king like this: "Oh great king, your arrow can kill the most powerful animal. Why don't you shoot? Let your arrow fly and kill the stag. His meat is worthy of being tasted by a monarch like you." The king replied, "I know that as well as you, priest. Stag's meat is delicious in flavor and well worth eating by warriors just as myself. But this stag once did me an unforgettable service, and therefore I will not kill him." So the priest continued, tempting him. "Great king, this is no stag, but a giant. You are the king of men. Kill him, and you shall become the king of gods. But if you hesitate to kill the stag because he once befriended you, then you, your queen, and your children will descend into the cold river of death and live with Yama, the dread king of the underworld." "So be it," the king said. "Send me, my wives, my children, and all my friends and comrades to Death's river and Death's king. But I will never commit this full deed, and this stag will never die by my hand. Once in a forest, this very stag saved my life. How can I possibly kill him?" Then Sakka, the god of gods, appeared in his own form before the king and said, "May you live long, sure, true, and faithful friend." I'm trying to imitate the god's powerful voice, but I couldn't, so just let it be. "Rule your people wisely and justly." Is that how they speak? Sometimes I watch movies. They speak like that. "When you come to heaven, you shall reign among the gods. You are possessed of great powers. Play your part well on earth, and heaven will be your final reward. I came to earth only to test you, great king. I have found you worthy of my trust. Continue to care for your subjects and all strangers in your kingdom." Saying this, Sakka the god vanished in a cloud of mist and returned to his kingdom in heaven. So we have rescued Shakyamuni Buddha, make him come alive again. Good story, huh? All right. I'm also very grateful for some of the translators to make these Sanskrit stories available to us. All this story I told you may be true, maybe not, but the logic and the virtues and the moral lessons inside are worth for us to contemplate. All right, then I say good night. Thank you for your loving attention, and see you tomorrow.